Chapter 4017. Blood-robed Kang Ming looked very young. His face was slightly pale. He was very handsome, a kind of cold and gloomy handsome. He was covered in a thick blood-red light, as if he had been born from blood. Without a doubt, he was a peerless genius of the Blood Clan. If it weren't for his low cultivation level, he would have been ranked on the universe's young geniuses list. Is the evil demon spirit blood on the godly dawn peak? Blood-robed Kang Ming stood in the air, looking down at everyone. No one felt that there was anything wrong with that. Even though there were people with higher cultivation levels than blood-robed Kang Ming, they were much weaker than him in terms of battle strength and potential. It's all on the godly dawn peak, but there are many evil demons hiding there. There are more than 200 evil demons of the 9th godly emperor layer, said a genius of the Blood Clan. 9th godly emperor layer? Hee hee. Blood-robed Kang Ming chuckled, looking indifferent. Then, he looked at the godly dawn peak and stepped into the air, flying towards it. In a few steps, he was near the godly dawn peak. Blood-robed Kang Ming is going to attack. Quick, let's attack too. Let's attack together and help him. Many people shouted and flew towards the godly dawn peak. Some people said that they were going to help blood-robed Kang Ming, but they were actually afraid that blood-robed Kang Ming would monopolize the evil demon spirit blood. Blood-robed Kang Ming smiled coldly, but he didn't care. He continued to step forward, his body filled with blood-red light. Die. At that moment, a fierce battle cry came from the godly dawn peak. An army of evil demons rushed out. This army of evil demons was made up of more than 200 evil demons of the 9th godly emperor layer, thousands of evil demons of the 8th godly emperor layer, and thousands of evil demons of the 7th godly emperor layer. Whoosh! Whoosh! Streaks of demonic chi condensed into an attack that surged towards the blood-clothed Tsongming like raging waves. Even blood-robed Kang Ming had to stop in the face of such an attack. He looked grave. Whoosh! In the next instant, blood-robed Kang Ming's body suddenly collapsed, turning into countless blood-red shadows. These blood-red shadows kept flickering, dodging all the evil demons' attacks. Die. At that moment, all the strong cultivators of evil demons. The two sides fought fiercely. The shadow formed by the blood-clothed dark sea quickly retracted and rushed into the evil demon army in a flash. Kill. Kill. Two demons of the 9th godly emperor layer raised their demon blades and attacked blood-robed Kang Ming. Die. At some point in time, a blood saber had appeared in Tsongming's hand. The crimson blade was thin and long, yet incomparably sharp. Furthermore, it was emitting a dense smell of blood. Two blood-red sword lights flashed, and the two demons of the 9th godly emperor layer broke apart. They were frozen in the air, motionless. They looked terrified. The two demons of the 9th godly emperor layer shriveled up and turned into mummified corpses. The blood-red glow on the blood-red blade in Tsongming's hand became even more intense. The taste of evil demon blood is really bad, but the energy is rich. Let's kill a few more. Blood-robed Tsongming chuckled as he stepped forward and slashed out with his blood saber. Blood-red light flashed and another demon of the 9th godly emperor layer was killed. His blood-red clothes were taken away and he turned into a mummified corpse. None of the demons of the 9th godly emperor layer could compete with blood-robed Tsongming. Blood-red clothes Kang Ming killed 20 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer and 50 demons of the 8th godly emperor layer in a short time. They were all killed in seconds. How strong! The geniuses in the surroundings were astonished. Was that the strength of a candidate for the universe young geniuses list? He only had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer, but he could kill cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer as easily as cutting vegetables. That kind of visual impact was too strong. The demons were terrified. When they saw blood-robed Tsongming, they were terrified. When they saw blood-robed Tsongming attacking them, they all retreated. The evil demon army's formation was messy. Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei were in the crowd, fighting against the demons. They were also paying attention to blood-robed Tsongming. Very strong. Lu Ming's expression was grave. Blood-robed Tsongming's strength was shocking. With his current cultivation, even if he used the mysterious ice rod's full power, he definitely wouldn't be a match for blood-robed Tsongming. Moreover, How could a genius like blood-robed Tsangming not have a powerful killing weapon? He just hadn't used it yet. At the top of Shenxia Peak, Samoros was also watching the battle outside. Prince, a terrifying monster from the primitive universe has arrived. What should we do now? A demon minister reported to Samoros. Samoros smiled coldly. His gaze moved to blood-robed Tsangming, then to Lu Ming, Ling Yu Wei, battle god Yuan Wen, and the others. He was filled with cold killing intent. The big fish has taken the bait. Those who should be here are all here. Now, send out the order. Everyone, attack and set up the 10,000 demons slaughtering god array. Samoros coldly gave the order. Yes. The demon minister accepted the order and looked excited. Was it finally going to start? Once the 10,000 demons slaughtering god array was out, let's see how arrogant those creatures from the primitive universe would be. Swoosh. Samoros stood up and rose up in the air. He was floating in the air above Shenxia Peak, releasing a terrifying chi. Die. Within the Shenxia Peak, another earth-shattering battle cry erupted. Then, another demon army charged out. The number of demons in that army was astonishing. There were around 200 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. There were more demons of the 8th and 7th godly emperor layer than before. The demons from before retreated hastily and joined the others behind them, forming a gigantic deployment spell. Around 400 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer and thousands of demons of the 8th and 7th godly emperor layer gathered together. Their chi intertwined. With Samoros at the center, they formed a huge battle. Die! Shouted Samoros furiously. He opened his arms and demon chi dashed to the sky, turning into countless demon blades. Samoros was at the center of the deployment spell. The deployment spell revolved according to his will. He shoved his hands forward, and countless fiend sabers flew out toward the living beings of the Yorwild's universe. Each of the devil's blades exuded a towering demonic aura. Its power was extremely terrifying. Among them, half of the demon blades turned into a river of blades that shot toward the scarlet-clothed dark abyss. Blood-robed Tsangming looked grave. This river of blades gathered the attacks of more than half of the demons present. Its power was too terrifying. If he was hit by it, he would definitely die. It's not that easy to deal with me. Blood-robed Tsangming smiled coldly. A moment later, a pair of wings appeared on his back. Chapter 4018. A pair of wings stretched out from Tsangming's back. This pair of wings was made of flesh and had no feathers. It looked like a bat's wings. It was golden red in color and had a luxurious aura. A terrifying aura was emitted from the wings. This was Tsangming's trump card, his ultimate weapon. Whoosh! With a flap of the wings, Tsangming flew out. The wings were like two heavenly blades as they slashed out, cutting two terrifying cracks in space. Boom! Boom! The two saber lights formed by the wings collided with the river of sabers of the fiend array. A violent explosion rang out in the sky. The entire sky and earth shook. In the end, Tsangming actually managed to block the river of sabers. However, the others didn't have the strength to do so. The remaining half of the fiend sabers attacked the creatures of the desolate universe. These creatures of the desolate universe had varying levels of strength. Not everyone could block them. Miserable cries rang out. Some of the weaker ones had their bodies pierced by the fiend sabers or were split in half. Their souls were destroyed and they died on the spot. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of creatures of the desolate universe were killed. Lu Ming drew out a large amount of strong wind from the Zephyr Pearl, protecting him and Ling Yue. The fiend sabers were successfully blocked by the strong wind. As for the others, some were blocked and some were injured. In the end, they managed to withstand this wave of attacks. Especially Tsangming. After blocking the river of sabers, he flapped his wings and turned into a shocking bloody light as he charged towards the fiend array. What 10,000 fiend god slaughtering array? It's only SOSO. Blood-clothed Tsangming's cold and arrogant voice resounded. The pair of golden red wings on his back grew larger and larger, almost covering half the sky. His terrifying aura continued to rise. Before he even made a move, the void was already trembling from the pressure, and numerous cracks appeared. Whoosh! Sangming then flapped his wings and turned into a bloody light as he charged towards the fiend array. Chimph, go! Inside the 10,000 fiend god slaughtering array, Samoras sneered. He pointed with his finger and another river of sabers flew out. This time, it was even stronger than before. The river of blades collided with the blood-clothed dark sea once again. It could be seen that the two sides were evenly matched at the beginning. However, in the next instant, the blood-clothed dark sea that had transformed into a blood-red light violently trembled. In the end, he revealed his true form with a grave expression. He clasped his wings together in front of him, blocking the river of blades. However, his body kept retreating. At the same time, Lu Ming and the rest were also attacked by countless devil sabers. Just like before, there were still people being killed and races. For example, the angels formed the angel battle formation. The auras of the angels intertwined, forming a gigantic angel figure that easily blocked the demon blades. For example, the Buddha race formed a Vajra demon subduing formation, conjuring up a gigantic Buddha shadow that blocked the demon's saber. Almost every race had their own array. The array appeared one after another. This way, the situation on the primitive universe's side was slightly better. However, some of them were alone, which was troublesome. For example, Lu Ming and Ling Yue came alone. They were not with their race and could not set up an array. They could only rely on themselves. Lu Ming was still fine. He kept drawing out the power in the Gale Pearl and could still block it. Some people did not have such a good ending. Those with high cultivation were fine, but those with low cultivation were directly killed by the fiend sabers. When this wave of attacks ended, hundreds of people from the primitive universe were killed. All of you, charge with me. Let's destroy the enemy's array in one go. As long as the enemy's array is broken, they will be a bunch of chickens and dogs. They won't be able to withstand a single blow. Blood-clothed Dark Sea swept his gaze around and spoke. The power of the enemy's 10,000 fiend god slaughtering array was beyond his expectations. Even if he used all his power, it was still very difficult. However, now that the races had formed an array, their combat power was very strong. If they worked together, they might be able to break the enemy's array. Alright, let's attack together. Charge over and destroy these demons. The various races formed an array and moved closer to Sangming. They planned to cooperate with him to launch a counterattack and destroy the enemy's array. Hihi, you have some strength. Such a big fish is worth killing. Samorosa's face was filled with excitement. Just now, he was only testing the waters. Now, he realized that Sangming's strength could be called a big fish. He was sure that there were not many such monstrous geniuses in the primitive universe. Then, he glanced at Lu Ming and Ling Yue. These two are also monsters. After I deal with this, I'll deal with you too. Samoros revealed a strong killing intent. Then, with a wave of his hand, the 10,000 fiend god slaughtering array shook. Endless demonic aura gathered and formed a huge demonic saber. Previously, the 10,000 fiend god slaughtering array had condensed countless demonic sabers. Now, it was as if countless demonic sabers had gathered together to form a towering demonic saber. The demonic saber was incomparably huge and emitted a terrifying aura as it slashed towards Sangming. Fast, extremely fast. It was so fast that the scarlet-clad azure sea god could not dodge in time. Not good. Sangming's pupils contracted rapidly as he felt a terrifying sense of danger. At the critical moment, he could only use his golden red wings to block in front of him. Boom! The huge demonic saber slashed at the golden red wings, causing them to shake violently. The golden red wings were Sangming's killing weapon. It was a top-grade divine weapon that was made of extraordinary materials and was indestructible. The huge demonic saber couldn't cut through the golden red wings, but the terrifying power on the demonic saber could pass through the demonic saber and rush into Sangming's body. Sangming let out a mournful cry as his body constantly emitted explosive sounds. That was the sound of bones breaking. Streams of blood constantly burst out from his body and dissipated into nothingness. Sangming's body quickly thinned. Finally, with a bang, he exploded and turned into a golden bat. His aura was extremely weak. The golden bat was covered by a pair of golden-red wings. It panicked and fled into the distance. Its speed was extremely fast, and in a few flashes, it disappeared from the place. He didn't die. Samorosa's face was a little gloomy. However, he had just unleashed a powerful attack. If he wanted to unleash another attack like that, he would need to take some time. Therefore, with a wave of his hand, only a few demonic sabers flew out and chased after Tsungming. Chapter 4019. Several demonic blades chased after blood-robed Tsungming. After a few explosions, there was no sound. No one knew what was going on. As for Samoras, he used all his strength to activate the 10,000 demonic godslaughtering array for the next attack. When the sky prides of the primitive universe saw that blood-robed Tsungming was severely injured and on the verge of death, their expressions changed drastically. If blood-robed Tsungming could not block it, they would not be able to block it even if they set up a battle array. Go, go. Retreat first. Roars could be heard as the sky prides of the various races turned around and left. However, they were all from large races. Although they did not want to continue fighting, their formation was not messed up. They maintained their formation and turned around to escape. The various races were scattered in order to prevent being wiped out by the demonic army in one fell swoop. Since you're here, don't think you can leave. 10,000 demonic godslaughtering array, change. Samoras's voice could be heard. Before he could finish his words, endless demonic aura rushed out from the surroundings of the divine dawn peak. Following this, eerie pitch-black runes appeared and formed a huge formation. It turned out that the demonic army had set up a huge array around the divine dawn peak. It was just that they had not activated it before. The runes were everywhere on the ground and in the void. The demons of the 10,000 demonic godslaughtering array also spread out and seemed to have merged into the runes. Roar! Roar! In the next moment, roars could be heard as huge figures appeared in all directions. These were all demonic figures. However, these figures were too huge. Each of them was millions of feet tall and towered into the sky. A total of 12 huge demons surrounded all the living beings in the primitive universe. All the living beings in the primitive universe's expressions changed. Obviously, the other party did not want to let them go and wanted to keep them all here. Gather together, someone shouted. All the people in the primitive universe gathered together again. They also formed battle arrays and formed huge figures. For example, the angel figure formed by the angel battle array and the Buddha figure formed by the Vajra demon subduing array. However, they were not as huge as the demonic figures. Kill. The 12 huge demonic figures charged toward the living beings in the primitive universe. Kill. The living beings in the primitive universe naturally would not sit still and wait for death. They also activated the power of their battle arrays to fight against the huge demonic figures. Boom, boom. It seemed like so many magnificent giants were fighting against each other in this world. It also looked like the stone spirits were fighting against each other. It gave people the illusion that they had returned to the incipient god era. After several exchanges, the battle formations of some of the weaker races were also weak. Some of the battle formations were directly destroyed. Some of the people in the battle formations were directly killed, while others were heavily injured. They were like headless eagles flying around in disarray. At this moment, Lu Ming and Yi Zichen were also facing a huge crisis. This was because after Samoras had beaten Tsungming to a pulp, he had finally turned his attention to Lu Ming and Tsungming. A gigantic evil demon figure wielding a gigantic evil demon saber charged towards Lu Ming and his companion. Whoosh! The devil's blade slashed through the void, cutting across the firmament. It carried an incomparably terrifying force as it slashed towards Lu Ming and Yi Shiwen. Lu Ming used the strong wind to wrap around Ling Yuwei, and the two of them continuously flashed, wanting to avoid the attack of the demonic blade. In the end, they dodged it, but the aftershock caused their blood to churn, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. This was a battle formation formed by many evil demon experts. The evil demon's strength was far beyond the 9th layer of the God Emperor realm. It wasn't something they could resist. Even if they used their trump cards and used all their strength to resist, they definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Humph, want to leave? Die. Samoras snorted coldly, controlling the gigantic evil demon figure. The evil demon saber in the gigantic evil demon figure's hand disappeared. Then, two gigantic palms smashed down towards Lu Ming and Yi Shiwen. The gigantic palms enveloped an area, forming a powerful pressure that pressed down on the two of them. The two of them felt that there was a berserk force in all directions, and even the void had solidified. They couldn't dodge even if they wanted to. Facing this attack, they could only face it head-on. Fight! Ling Yuwei shouted. She used all her strength to activate the blood-stained Elven King bow. A towering tree appeared behind her, and rich divine power poured into the Elven King bow. She used all of her strength and shot out the most powerful arrow she had ever shot. Swoosh! An arrow pierced through the void, shooting out a pitch-black passage, as if splitting the universe into two halves. Boom! The arrow struck a palm, causing an earth-shattering boom to erupt. Unfortunately, the difference in strength between the two was too great. At the moment of collision, the arrow directly exploded and scattered, not piercing through the evil demon's palm. However, it was still useful. It slowed down the speed of the evil demon's palm, and at the same time, its power was also weakened. At the same time, Lu Ming also made his move. First, he frantically drew out a gale from the gale pearl. The violent gale rushed out as if it didn't cost money, forming two gigantic tornadoes that swept towards the two evil demons' palms. As for Lu Ming, he held the Ice Shen Rod in his hand and poured all the forbidden power in his body into the Ice Shen Rod. The Ice Shen Rod turned into the size of a mountain and blasted out. The two tornadoes were the first to meet the two palms. The tornadoes, which were comparable to the 9th layer of the Divine Emperor realm, couldn't withstand a single blow from the two evil demons' palms. The evil demons' palms didn't stop and continued to press down. In the end, it collided with Lu Ming's Ice Shen Rod. Buzz! At the moment of collision, the Ice Shen Rod shook crazily, and a violent force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt as if he had been hit by a mother planet. His body emitted crackling sounds, and the sound of bones breaking. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that at least 100 bones in his body had been broken. His muscles had been torn apart, and his internal organs had been shattered by the violent force. Then, with a bang, half of Lu Ming's body exploded. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. His body fell to the ground like a meteorite. With a boom, a deep pit was created in the ground by Lu Ming, which was hundreds of miles deep. Mu Yun. Ling Yue's face was pale. She cried out in alarm and rushed to the ground. She flew into the deep pit and landed beside Lu Ming. Then, she found that Lu Ming was lying there, motionless, and his aura was extremely weak. Her heart trembled, and tears flowed down her face. "Silly girl, I'm fine. I'm just pretending." Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice sounded in her ears. She looked over and saw Lu Ming winking at him. "You." Ling Yue revealed a look of pleasant surprise, but she immediately shut her mouth. She knew what Lu Ming was planning. Lu Ming had deliberately pretended to be dead, and then sat on the mountain to watch the tigers fight. In fact, Samuro had indeed thought that Lu Ming had been killed by this move. Chapter 40-20. Not only Samuros, but the others also thought that Lu Ming had been killed by this move. That was the 10,000 demons god-slaughtering great formation, composed of many strong demons. Ordinary cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer couldn't compete with it. One attack could kill many cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. No one thought that Lu Ming would be able to survive. Even at the beginning, Ling Yuwei was shocked, thinking that Lu Ming had fallen. Unfortunately, they didn't know how strong Lu Ming's life force was. As long as his cells survived, Lu Ming would not die. Therefore, although the attack just now was incomparably tyrannical and powerful, it did not annihilate all of Lu Ming's cells. As long as all of Lu Ming's cells were not annihilated, Lu Ming would not die. Therefore, although Lu Ming's injuries were heavy, he did not die. Lu Ming could use this opportunity to make Samuros and the others think that he was dead, so that he could take advantage of the situation. Sure enough, Samuros sneered, This is the only outcome for those who oppose me. After that, he did not continue to attack Lu Ming, nor did he attack Ling Yuwei. His main target was Lu Ming. He would first kill Lu Ming, and as for Ling Yuwei, he would deal with her later. The 12 gigantic demon figures began to concentrate on dealing with the battle formation formed by the various geniuses of the great desolate universe. The two sides fought intensely, and the battle was exceptionally tragic. After exchanging a few blows, the battle formation formed by the weaker races was destroyed, and the geniuses of this race were slaughtered. All right, it's finally done. At this moment, Dandan's voice sounded in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's mind shook, and he also sent a sound transmission. Dandan, where are you hiding? Of course I'm hiding underground. Dandan replied. Underground? The demons didn't set up defenses underground? Lu Ming asked. Logically speaking, the demons would definitely set up defenses underground. Defenses would be set up underground, on the ground, and in the air. Because once one reached this level of cultivation, their divine abilities would be vast, and they would be able to move freely underground and on the ground. This was especially true for races like the Earth Traveler race. Demons would never make such a low-level mistake. If there were no defenses underground, the Earthen Travelers would have stolen the demon's spirit blood long ago. Of course there's a defense. The demons have laid down layers upon layers of formations underground. There are a total of 108 layers. But can these formations stop me? He asked with a faint smugness. Lu Ming nodded. An ordinary array formation would not be able to stop Dandan. Then, what method do you have to obtain the evil demon's spirit blood? Lu Ming asked. I've already set up a formation around this area, and I've already seen through the demon's myriad demon god slaughtering formation. Soon, the various races of the primitive universe will definitely fight with their lives on the line. When the battle reaches its climax, the myriad demon god slaughtering formation will show a flaw. That will be the time for us to strike. At that time, I will break their formation. The two of you will work together to break the core of their formation. It's that guy who attacked you before, Dandan said. All right, no problem. Lu Ming nodded and then told Ling Yuwei about the plan. After discussing it, Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei began to recover with all their might. Lu Ming's injuries were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, his originally tattered body had already healed, and no wounds could be seen. The forbidden area in his body was also quickly recovering. Ling Yuwei was also trying her best to recover the divine power she had just consumed. The geniuses of the various races of the primitive universe fought with the demons for another 10 minutes or so. The primitive universe was already at a complete disadvantage, and from time to time, someone would be killed. Up until now, other than the great formation set up by the geniuses of the top 10 races, which was still intact, the battle formations set up by the other races were already in danger. We can't go on like this. We'll all be exhausted here. We should charge out. That's right. Let's gather all our strength and use all our trump cards. We'll attack a demon figure and charge out at all cost. It's settled then. The various races secretly discussed and planned to fight to the death. Kill. All the races in the primitive universe gathered together and suddenly launched an attack in the southeast direction. All the attacks were aimed at the demon in that direction. They used their trump cards. Those who had great killing weapons used their great killing weapons to increase the power of the array formation. Those who didn't have any great killing weapons took out the divine weapons they usually used, sacrificed them, and self-detonated them. Some people even burned their divine power at all costs. With everyone fighting with their lives on the line, the explosive offensive power was shockingly strong. The terrifying attack was like a vast tide, hitting the giant demonic shadow in the southeast. Boom! The demonic shadow shook violently, and many of the abyss devils that formed the array formation coughed up blood. Some demons who had the strength of the seventh godly emperor layer were struck by the strength and exploded. They died instantly. For a moment, the demon was in imminent danger. However, in order to focus on attacking the demonic shadow, the elites of the various races in the primitive universe naturally lowered their defensive power. The other 11 demonic shadows took the opportunity to attack. Ah! Miserable shrieks rose and fell. In just a short while, the arrays of more than 10 races were destroyed, and many people inside died. Even the battle formations of the top 10 races trembled and almost collapsed. In an instant, at least a few hundred people died. It was a disastrous loss, and many of them were top geniuses. Continue attacking. Success or failure depends on this. Otherwise, all of us will die. Attack. Everyone in the primitive universe knew that if they couldn't break out, they would all die. Only by breaking out would they have a chance to survive. Everyone's strength was at its peak, and their divine power was burning fiercely. They didn't care about the consequences and the price they had to pay. Boom. Finally, the Abyss Devil in the southeast exploded and scattered, turning into numerous Abyss Devils. This time, at least 1,000 demons were killed. After all, this was the joint attack of everyone in the primitive universe, and it was also the strongest attack. Its power wasn't something that a single demonic shadow could block. However, the primitive universe had also paid a heavy price for this. This was because the attacks of the other 11 gigantic demonic figures had arrived. On the primitive universe's side, not to mention the other races, even the arrays of the top 10 races were difficult to maintain and were destroyed. A large number of people were killed, including those from the top 10 races. For example, at least 30 angels from the angel race screamed and were reduced to ashes. At least 20 people from the Buddhist race died. The Battle Saint tribe, the Blood race, and the Soul race were the same. Every race suffered heavy losses. However, the remaining people were still very excited because the 10,000 demons god-slaughtering array of the demons was broken. Break out. Kill. The remaining people of the primitive universe rushed forward crazily. Chapter 40:21. The huge demon figure in the southeast was defeated. A large number of demons had fallen, and the remaining demons were like headless flies, flying everywhere. This way, it was impossible to stop the people from the Great Desolate Universe. The people from the Great Desolate Universe were all fighting with their lives on the line. Their attacks were like a storm. After a wave of attacks, a large number of demons were killed, including the 9th level demons. However, at this time, no one had the time to care about the demon spirit blood. As soon as the people from the Great Desolate Universe rushed out of the encirclement, they fled into the distance. Damn it, chase after them. Samoros roared, his eyes cold. Immediately, at least half of the demon army chased after the people from the various races of the Great Desolate Universe. This way, the 10,000 demon god slaughtering array only existed in name. Ha ha ha, so many people actually left. The heavens are helping me. Lu Ming, attack. Dandan laughed proudly. In his excitement, he directly said Lu Ming's real name. That's right, he had already recognized Lu Ming. Lu Ming was speechless. Fortunately, Dandan was using a sound transmission, so Ling Yue didn't hear it. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. As soon as Dandan finished speaking, dense runes suddenly appeared on the ground and in the air. These runes were actually set up by the demons. The demons at the scene cooperated with these runes to form the complete 10,000 demon god slaughtering array. Attack. Lu Ming bellowed and dashed out with Ling Yue. Attack 800 meters to the left, 600 meters to the top. Dandan's voice continued to ring out, directly pointing out 36 places. Lu Ming and Ling Yue didn't hesitate and directly attacked. Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique and drew out a large amount of strong wind from the Zephyr Pearl. They turned into wind blades and attacked the places Dandan had mentioned. As for Ling Yue, she also took out the Elf King bow that was stained with blood and shot out an arrow. The arrow light continued to split into more than 10 arrows that shot towards more than 10 places. The places Dandan mentioned were all the nodes of the runes, which were also the floors. Boom. Boom. When Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks landed on these nodes, an earth-shattering boom erupted. Then, the entire formation formed by runes began to shake violently. Following that, it exploded with a loud bang. When the formation exploded, the 10,000 demon god slaughtering formation could no longer be stabilized and collapsed. Many of the abyssals in the array immediately suffered a backlash from the array. That's right, backlash. They fused with the formation and cooperated with each other to form the 10,000 demons god slaughtering formation. Once the formation was broken, they would suffer a backlash from the formation. That backlash was extremely serious. Some of the weaker demons were instantly killed by the backlash. Only those who had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer could resist it. Samoros, who was at the core of the formation, also trembled violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Damn it, Mu Yun! Samoros let out an earth-shattering roar. Lu Ming was actually not dead. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Previously, Lu Ming was actually able to survive after being hit by a huge demonic shadow of the 10,000 demons god slaughtering formation. This was completely out of his expectations. Unexpected, right? The unexpected is yet to come. I'll send you on your way. Kill. Lu Ming shouted loudly. His figure soared into the sky and rushed towards the top of the Divine Dawn Peak. At the same time, the mysterious ice rod emitted an astonishing aura and rapidly grew in size as it smashed towards Samoros. However, Ling Yuwei's attack was faster than Lu Ming's. Archery, a single attack, was definitely the strongest. There was no other way. It surpassed the sword Dao. Its speed was also the fastest. The arrow pierced through the void and shot towards Samoros. Samoros roared and defended with all his might. However, at this moment, because the formation had been broken, he had just suffered a backlash. Even if he used all his strength, it would be difficult for him to block Ling Yuwei's arrow attack. Boom! His attack was directly pierced through by the arrow. His body was pierced through by the arrow. Puff! Samoros spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale. He had been severely injured and his aura was extremely weak. At this moment, Lu Ming's mysterious ice rod had already arrived. The mysterious ice rod, which was as big as a mountain, carried an incomparably terrifying aura as it pressed down on Samoros. No! Samoros shouted in horror and used all his strength to resist. At the same time, the surrounding demons were also shocked. However, they wanted to save him, but it was too late. Boom! In the end, the mysterious ice rod bombarded Samoros. Samoros screamed in agony as his body directly exploded. Among them, a soul rushed out. It was Samoros's soul. He wanted to escape, but was hit by the aftershock of the mysterious ice rod and died on the spot. Lu Ming rushed over and took Samoros's evil demon spirit blood in his hand. Then, without stopping, he landed on the Divine Dawn Peak. At the top of the Divine Dawn Peak, there was an altar. On the altar, there was a crystal coffin. Inside was all the evil demon spirit blood. Around the altar, there were 6 strong demons protecting it. Those 6 demons were all cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. Actually, 6 cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer protecting the crystal coffin weren't very strong. The main reason was that Samoros had been too self-confident. He hadn't thought that anyone would be able to break through to the Divine Dawn Peak. Prince, that little boy killed Prince. Kill him. The 6 demons of the 6th godly emperor layer shouted furiously and threw themselves at Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook his mysterious ice rod and swept it out. A terrifying chi rolled out in all directions. The 6 demons had the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. An ice armor appeared on their bodies and covered them quickly. Then, the mysterious ice rod moved towards them. Boom! 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 6 explosions sounded. The 6 demons of the 6th godly emperor layer were blown away. Their faces were deathly pale and blood was flowing out of their mouths. Lu Ming waved his hand and the taboo power wrapped around the crystal coffin like a ribbon. With a pull, the crystal coffin shrank rapidly and Lu Ming kept it in his storage ring. He had obtained the evil demon spirit blood. Shit! Prince was killed. Kill them. Avenge Prince. Kill them. Crush their bones and scatter their ashes. All the demons came back to their senses. Even though the 10,000 demons god-slaughtering great formation had been destroyed, there were still around 200 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. Those demons shouted furiously and charged towards Lu Ming and the others. With so many demons joining hands, Even if Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei were strong, they would still be crushed. However, at that moment, numerous talismans appeared in the sky. It was a gigantic deployment spell. Dandan had cast it. Dandan had disappeared in order to cast a few deployment spells. As soon as those talismans appeared, they crawled all over Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei's bodies. A moment later, Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei disappeared. One attack after another bombarded the place where Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei were, causing the space to explode. However, they lost track of Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei. The demons looked at each other in dismay. Chapter 40-22. 30,000 miles away from the Divine Dawn Peak, Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei's figures suddenly appeared. Not far away, Dandan was looking at them with a complacent expression. "How is it? Do you admire me now?" Dandan said proudly. "Amazing, truly amazing. Your rune formation Tao is truly the creation of heaven and earth. I have seen countless people who are proficient in the Tao of formations, but compared to you, they are countless times weaker. Even many of the older generation of formation masters, other than having a higher cultivation than you, are inferior to you in terms of the usage of runes." Ling Yuwei sighed again and again, feeling admiration from the bottom of her heart. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, little girl, you have good eyesight, but you are too honest, ha 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 ha. Dandan's face was about to split apart from laughing. With his hands behind his back, he looked up at the sky, looking like an expert who had achieved the Tao. "Let's leave first. This place is not far from the Divine Dawn Peak. Let's find a safe place first," Lu Ming said. Dandan was in the midst of an infinite sense of comfort when he was interrupted by Lu Ming. He immediately looked at Lu Ming in displeasure. In the end, the three of them left and arrived at a relatively secret place. "Lu Ming, it's actually you. How did you become like this?" On the way, Dandan sent a sound transmission to Lu Ming, filled with surprise. "I have great abilities, what can't I do?" Lu Ming sent a sound transmission. "TSK, don't brag to me. You were clearly blocked in the Dragon Clan's mother planet and couldn't get out. How did you get out? Furthermore, even your life aura has changed. If it wasn't for my sharp spiritual sense, I wouldn't have been able to discover it. Furthermore, you sure have guts. After leaving the Dragon Clan's mother planet, you actually dare to participate in the Heavenly Palace's Heavenly Soldier Assessment." Dandan asked a bunch of questions. "I am indeed still on the Dragon Clan's mother planet." Immediately, Lu Ming gave a simple account of what had happened. Since Dandan already knew it was him, there was no need to hide the fact that he had the taboo body. Although Dandan looked unreliable, he still knew his priorities. This matter was too important to Lu Ming, so he definitely wouldn't say anything. "Taboo body, the legendary taboo body. You brat, you are indeed my little brother, hey." Dandan smiled. The two of them communicated with each other through sound transmission, so Ling Yuwei did not hear them. After that, the three of them sat down and adjusted their breathing. Not long after, they recovered to their peak condition. Then, the three of them began to divide the spoils of war. Lu Ming took out the crystal coffin. After opening it, he found that there were many jade bottles neatly arranged inside. Each jade bottle contained a drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood. Each drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood represented an Abyss Devil and merit points. There were tens of thousands of drops of Abyss Devil Spirit blood here. The three of them divided the Abyss Devil Spirit blood equally. After that, Lu Ming took out a jade bottle. Inside this jade bottle, there was only one drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood. However, this drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood was purplish gold in color and emitted a dazzling radiance, like a peerless pearl. This drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood was Samoa's Abyss Devil Spirit blood. This drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood belongs to that Abyss Devil Prince. This person's talent is extremely high, his combat strength is extremely strong, and his potential is extremely great. I'm afraid he's worth a lot of merit points. I'll give this drop of Abyss Devil Spirit blood to you. Miss Yue, you don't have any objections, right? Lu Ming said. Of course I don't have any objections. Ling Yue nodded. To be honest, this time, Dandan had played the biggest role. If not for Dandan's formation, it would have been impossible for them to obtain the Abyss Devil spirit blood. Not to mention obtaining the Abyss Devil spirit blood, once they got involved, it would be difficult for them to even escape. Therefore, Ling Yuwei naturally had no objections to Dandan sharing the majority of the loot. It's better for you to keep it. You need it even more. The higher your merit points, the more you can become a higher level heavenly soldier. It will be of greater help to you, Dandan said. Lu Ming had already told him that his main goal in joining the Heavenly Palace and becoming a heavenly soldier was to meet the autumn moon. In that case, becoming a high-level heavenly soldier would give him a higher chance of coming into contact with the autumn moon and investigating the current situation of the autumn moon. Without seeing the autumn moon and understanding the current situation of the autumn moon, Lu Ming would never be at ease if he left the autumn moon alone in the Heavenly Palace. Glancing at Dandan, Lu Ming's heart warmed. This guy is still very loyal to his friends. Alright, then I'll accept it. Lu Ming put away Samoro's demon blood essence. Ling Yuwei's gaze moved between Lu Ming and Dandan. She could feel that Lu Ming and Dandan seemed to know each other. Not only did they know each other, but they also had a good relationship. Ordinary people would not give away such precious demon spirit blood. However, Lu Ming and Dandan didn't say anything, so she tactfully didn't ask any further. After splitting up, the three of them left the place and met up with the elves. Following that, everyone planned to leave the 8-Snake Mountain range. The time of the examination was not fixed. As long as he felt that he had obtained enough merit points, he could leave early and return to the city forged by the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yuwei had definitely obtained enough demon spirit blood. Not to mention anything else, just in the 8-Snake Mountain range, there was definitely no one with more demon spirit blood than Lu Ming and the other two. As for the higher level areas, that was another matter. The three of them definitely had enough demon spirit blood. As for the other elves, they knew that the 8-Snake Mountain range was extremely dangerous, so they didn't have any intention of staying. After a period of time, they successfully returned to the city forged by the Heavenly Palace. After returning to the city, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. You're back. A few heavenly soldiers looked at Lu Ming and the others with a trace of contempt. The same was true for the sky official who had brought them here. They thought that Lu Ming and the others were timid and didn't dare to hunt Abyss Devils in the 8-Snake Mountain range. We've hunted enough Abyss Devils, so we came back early, Lu Ming said. Enough. The sky official and the heavenly soldiers had strange expressions, obviously not believing him. However, they wouldn't interfere with the actions of Lu Ming and the others. In fact, there would be people who would withdraw early in every examination. In any case, they wouldn't be able to become a heavenly soldier. They couldn't be bothered to care. Lu Ming and the others stayed in the city and waited for the other examinees. They had to wait for everyone to finish the examination before returning to the Dream Sky City. Of course, the examination time couldn't be extended indefinitely. At most, it would be 3 years. After 3 years, regardless of whether or not anyone returned, they would have to return to the Dream Sky City. After settling down, Lu Ming went into seclusion to consolidate his cultivation. After consolidating his cultivation, Lu Ming took out the Elvenwood heart and began to absorb it. At the first layer of the Godly Emperor realm, Lu Ming needed to absorb 3,000 Elvenwood hearts in order to store the potential in his cells to 100%. After breaking through to the second layer of the Godly Emperor realm, if he wanted to store 100%, he would need even more Elvenwood hearts, probably around 4,000. Chapter 4023. Before, Lu Ming had broken through from the first Godly Emperor layer to the second Godly Emperor layer, so he had consumed a lot of potential. Now, his cells only had 20% left. Therefore, Lu Ming had to refine a total of 3,200 roots to fill up the potential stored in his cells. The spiritual wood hearts are being consumed too quickly. Lu Ming's face turned dark as he sighed. Before, he had obtained 50,000 spiritual wood hearts from the Elven clan. He had thought that he would be able to use them for a long time, but now it seemed like he had underestimated the consumption of the Godly Emperor layer. The consumption of the forbidden body when breaking through to the Godly Emperor layer was much higher than he had expected. 50,000 spiritual wood hearts were not enough for him to break through to the 9th godly emperor layer. However, the elven clan still owed him 100,000 spiritual wood hearts. If he could get them, he wouldn't have to worry about breaking through to the godly emperor layer. At the same time, Lu Ming thought of another problem, the Zephyr Pearl. Lu Ming realized that the Zephyr Pearl's energy had decreased a lot. After all, the Zephyr Wind in the Zephyr Pearl was limited, it wasn't endless and it couldn't be replenished automatically. Even though the Zephyr Wind in the Pearl could destroy a galaxy, it was still limited. Lu Ming had been using the Zephyr Pearl too much recently. Each time, the Zephyr Pearl's strength was close to the 9th godly emperor layer. Using the Zephyr Wind of the 9th godly emperor layer consumed a lot of energy. A cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer could destroy a planet with his full strength. A cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer could destroy a planet with his full strength. A cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer could destroy a planet with his full strength. That required a lot of Zephyr Wind. Lu Ming realized that the Zephyr Wind in the Zephyr Pearl had been consumed by about 10%. It didn't feel like 90% was a lot. As Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the Zephyr Wind of the Zephyr Pearl would be consumed very quickly. If the Zephyr Wind was consumed, the Zephyr Pearl would be useless. Forget it. After all, it's an external object. If it's used up, it's gone. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was very open-minded. As long as it could be of use now, it was fine. When the potential of his cells reached 100%, Lu Ming began to comprehend the Great Devil Sword Art. The Great Devil Sword Art was already close to being a beginner. He was just one step away from being able to turn it into a secret skill rune and fuse it with his cells. Therefore, his cultivation speed was also very fast. In just half a year's time, Lu Ming had cultivated the Great Devil Sword Art to the entry level. He transformed it into a secret technique rune and fused it with a cell. With a thought, Lu Ming circulated the Great Devil Sword Art. Instantly, a devil sword appeared in his hand. It was incomparably sharp, and its might was shocking. It could easily break apart divine weapons. At the peak of his strength, dozens of demonic swords appeared around his body, ready to strike at any moment. There's one more way to attack. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He wasn't too surprised. After all, the Great God Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique were both offensive techniques. They were more mature and powerful. After cultivating the Great Devil Sword Art, Lu Ming began to comprehend the ordinary Devil Path's secret techniques. In the myriad tombs, he had obtained the Devil Path's secret techniques left behind by the Bone Demon. There were about 300 types. Previously, Lu Ming had taken some time to comprehend some, but he hadn't finished comprehending them yet. Now that he had some free time, he wanted to comprehend them properly. He transformed them all into secret skill runes and fused them with his cells. After cultivating to this point, Lu Ming discovered that the more secret techniques he cultivated, the more secret skill runes would fuse into his cells. The power of the taboo force would also be stronger. It wasn't an increase in quantity, but in quality. He was still far from cultivating the taboo force to the peak. Now, his speed of comprehending ordinary secret techniques was very fast. In more than 2 years, he had successfully comprehended hundreds of secret techniques. They transformed into secret skill runes and fused into his cells. Lu Ming's strength had increased slightly. After cultivating for a few more months, the 3-year period was finally up. Those who participated in the test, as long as they didn't die, had all returned to the city. However, Lu Ming discovered that the number of people had decreased by half. In other words, half of them had died in the Dark Universe, becoming food for the fiends. When the Sky Official gathered them, Lu Ming discovered that cold gazes swept over him. They were from the angels. Lu Ming sneered in response. The angels' expressions turned ugly, and killing intent flashed in their eyes. All right, the Dark Universe's test is over. I'll now bring you back to Dream Sky City. Go to the merit well and check your merit points. After the Sky Official announced this, he led everyone back to Dream Sky City. Within Dream Sky City, there was a merit hall. The merit well was located within the merit hall. In the center of the merit department, there was a golden well. From the mouth of the well, a faint light filled the air. This was the Well of Merit. As long as an abyssal spirit blood was poured into the Well of Merit, the Well of Merit would naturally calculate the corresponding merit points. All you need to do is pour the fiend's spirit blood into the merit well, then place the jade talisman given to you by the heavenly palace above the merit well. The merit well will naturally calculate your merit points and record them in the jade talisman. Only those with 5,000 merit points can be considered to have passed the heavenly soldier test and become an official heavenly soldier, and a third-class one at that. The Sky Official said. Lord Sky Official, how many merit points do we need to become a second-class heavenly soldier? Someone asked. Many of the people here came from various major races. Many of their elders had joined the heavenly soldier before. However, the heavenly palace had strict rules. After leaving the heavenly soldier, they couldn't spread what they had seen or heard in the heavenly soldier. Thus, these prodigies of the major races were like Lu Ming. They knew nothing about the heavenly palace. Lu Ming also perked up his ears to listen. I can tell you now. Theoretically speaking, you need 10,000 merit points to become a third-class heavenly soldier. But since you've just taken the test, the requirements have been lowered. 5,000 is enough. So theoretically speaking, 10,000 to 100,000 merit points is a third-class heavenly soldier. Only when you accumulate more than 100,000 merit points is a second-class heavenly soldier. From 100,000 to 1,000,000 merit points is a second-class heavenly soldier. From 1,000,000 to 10,000,000 merit points is a first-class heavenly soldier. If you have more than 10,000,000 merit points, you're a divine general. The Sky Official explained. Everyone nodded. However, they had no idea what merit points were, and they didn't know how many fiends one had to kill to reach 10,000 merit points. The fiend spirit blood I've obtained should be enough. After all, I've killed more than a dozen God Emperor fiends. What I have should be enough. These thoughts flashed through the minds of some. Chapter 40-24. Alright, I've told you the rules. Which one of you should go first? Said the Sky Official. I'll go. A young man immediately strode forward and arrived at the side of the Well of Merit. He waved his hand, causing numerous jade bottles to fly out. These jade bottles contained drops of fiend spirit blood. Lu Ming glanced at them and saw that there were about 200 drops of fiend spirit blood. As for the fiend spirit blood, it was hard to tell what cultivation level the fiend spirit blood belonged to. The youth waved his hand and opened the jade bottle. Drops of fiend spirit blood flew out and into the Well of Merit. The Well of Merit's multicolored light immediately grew stronger. The young man waited nervously. In less than a minute, a line of numbers suddenly appeared above the Well of Merit. 865. This number appeared above the Well of Merit, 865 merit points. You're not qualified. You haven't passed the test. Take back your jade talisman and merit points, said the Sky Official calmly. He waved his hand and took the young man's jade talisman away. How could this be? How could this be? I killed so many fiends, how could I only get 800 merit points? Shouted the young man in disbelief. How strong were those abyss devils that you killed? Let me tell you, an ordinary fiend of the first godly emperor layer is worth 1 merit point at most. Said the Sky Official coldly. What? The young man's face paled. He wasn't the only one. The others were the same. A fiend of the first godly emperor layer was only worth 1 merit point. That was too cheap. Some of the young men looked at the fiend spirit blood they had obtained and looked dispirited. Of course, it's not completely based on cultivation level. The more potential a fiend has, the more merit points they will get, even if their cultivation level is low, said the Sky Official. This gave many people hope. Potential wasn't something that could be judged with the naked eye. Of course, the more talented a person was, the more potential they had. Of course, that wasn't always the case. Some people who had great wisdom and great talent matured late. They didn't show off at the beginning, but their potential was astonishing. Some people who were extremely talented at the beginning had limited potential. Who knew if the fiends they had killed had astonishing potential? The young man from before retreated, dispirited. Immediately, another young man stepped forward. However, this young man had only obtained slightly more than 1,000 merit points. He was eliminated. Following that, 5 or 6 young men stepped forward, but none of them passed the test. The highest score among them was only around 4,000 contribution points. When the 8th young man went up, his merit points finally reached 5,000. 55-35. Whoosh! The number above the well of merit flew directly into the jade talisman and disappeared. Then, the jade talisman flew back into the young man's hand. Congratulations on becoming a third-class heavenly soldier. That jade talisman is your identity jade talisman. It contains your information and merit points. Keep it well. Sky Official Road. Thank you, Heavenly Official. Delighted, the youth put away the jade talisman and went to the Sky Official's seat. Those who passed the test would stand below the Sky Official and await further instructions. Next, the young men stepped forward one by one. Lu Ming discovered that the success rate was not high. It was only about 1/5. Over 10,000 merit points. Suddenly, a cry of surprise was heard. A young man stood proudly beside the well of merit. That guy, Dandan pursed his lips, because that young man was the 10-winged angel of the angel race, Laffit. His merit points had exceeded 10,000. As expected of a peak-level monster with a powerful weapon. Many of the people who had died at his hands had been high-level fiends. There were many 7th or 8th godly emperor layers. Not bad, you pass. The Sky Official nodded in satisfaction. After putting away the jade talisman, Laffit went to the Sky Official's seat and looked at Lu Ming provocatively. What he meant was, come, let's see who has more merit points. Trash. Lu Ming mouthed to Laffit, but didn't say anything. However, Laffit could see that and his expression darkened. His eyes flashed with killing intent. The next ones to go up were all monstrous geniuses. Even the weakest received 5,000 merit points, and the strongest received close to 20,000 merit points. Those who received close to 20,000 merit points were extremely strong. If they used their trump cards or used their full strength, their battle prowess would surpass the 9th godly emperor layer. It's him. As expected, his fine. At that moment, Lu Ming noticed a young man. Blood-robed Kang Ming. He was a peerless genius of the Blood Clan, and one of the candidates for the universe's Young Geniuses list. Hey, he's already gone up. With his strength, he should have entered the 3rd area. It's not the 3rd area's turn yet. Some people were puzzled. You're wrong. He didn't go to the 3rd area. He went to the 2nd area. The 2nd area? Right, blood-robed Kang Ming's cultivation level is too low. It's dangerous for him to go to the 3rd area. It's safer for him to stay in the 2nd area. I heard that blood-robed Kang Ming almost died in the 2nd area. It seems like he doesn't live up to his name. Some people were discussing, but they didn't lower their voices because they were all peerless geniuses. They had all entered the 3rd area to participate in the exam, so they weren't afraid of blood-robed Kang Ming. Blood-robed Kang Ming's expression turned ugly. He glanced at those people and didn't say anything. As a result, he received close to 30,000 merit points. Even Lu Ming and the others couldn't help but sigh. Blood-robed Kang Ming was indeed powerful. In the 8 Snake Mountain range, no demon was his match. The number of 9th-level godly Emperor Realm demons that had died in his hands was probably not small. That was why he could get so many merit points. If Lu Ming and the others hadn't snatched a large amount of demon spirit blood from the demons at the Divine Dawn Peak, they definitely wouldn't have been able to get so much. Even now, they weren't confident. Soon, the people participating in the 2nd area were almost done. At that moment, Ling Yuwei stepped forward and took out her demon spirit blood. So much. At the scene, everyone's eyes widened in shock when they saw Ling Yuwei take out the demon spirit blood. Not to mention the quality, just the quantity was too shocking. Ling Yuwei's cultivation level seemed to be only at the 3rd level of the godly emperor realm. How could she kill so many demons? Other than Lu Ming and a few others, everyone else was puzzled. Including the Sky Official. When the Sky Official saw that Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yue had left the 8-Snake Mountain range and returned to the city, he thought that they were cowards and left early. Lu Ming and the others said that they had already completed the exam, but the sky official didn't believe them at all. At this moment, he couldn't help but be flabbergasted. With so much demon spirit blood, they're probably all low level. If they're all at the first level of the godly emperor realm, even if there's a lot of them, they won't be able to reach 5,000 merit point. An angel race genius sneered. Chapter 40-25. Because of Gabbert, these angel clan geniuses were very unhappy with Ling Yue. If they had the chance, they would naturally belittle and ridicule her. Ling Yue was too lazy to care about them. She placed the demon spirit blood into the well of merit. The well of merit immediately emitted a resplendent light. In the next moment, a line of words appeared. 63789. At the scene, most of the people's eyes suddenly widened. 63,789. This was the merit points that Ling Yue had obtained. It was more than twice as many as the blood cloak Kang Ming. How is this possible? How could he have so many merit points? How is this possible? Many people cried out in alarm, and the face of that angel clan genius from before turned red. No one doubted if there was a mistake with the well of merit. This was a top treasure of the heavenly palace, so it was impossible for there to be a mistake. There was only one truth, and that was that Ling Yue had really obtained so many merit points. Many people revealed expressions of envy and jealousy. More than 60,000 merit points would not disappear. Instead, they would be recorded in the identity token and could be exchanged for all sorts of treasures in the heavenly palace. How many treasures could he exchange for? It would be strange if he wasn't envious. Even the sky official's old face turned slightly red. He had previously thought that Ling Yue and the others had left the 8-Snake Mountain range because they were timid. He didn't believe that they had completed the mission ahead of time. But in reality, not only had Ling Yue completed the mission ahead of time, she had also obtained an astonishing amount of merit points, more than 10 times the basic goal of the assessment. Good, not bad, pass. The sky official nodded repeatedly. Of course, he wouldn't blame Ling Yue just because he had misjudged her and lost some face. He wasn't that narrow-minded. Haha, looks like mine won't be lacking either. Dandan smiled, took a step forward, and also took out the demon spirit blood. The amount of demon spirit blood he had wasn't any less than Ling Yue's. After the well of merit was inspected, everyone was once again shocked. 64765. Dandan had obtained a total of 64,765 merit points, slightly more than Ling Yue's merit points. 2 people in a row had appeared with more than 60,000 merit points, causing everyone to be incomparably shocked. Most importantly, the 2 of them were together. How is this possible? This question kept flashing through everyone's minds. Dandan laughed heartily, enjoying the admiring gazes of the crowd. The way he saw it, the gazes of the people around him were filled with admiration. He put away the jade talisman and walked proudly to the seat below the heavenly official. Next, it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming stepped forward. Many people couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. This was because Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yue were obviously together. Ling Yue and Dandan's harvest was so astonishing. Then, could it be that Lu Ming, who was with them, also had such a harvest? This was especially true for the angels. The one who stared at Lu Ming the most was Laffit. Lu Ming's expression was calm. He walked to the edge of the well of merit and took out the jade bottle containing the demon spirit blood. Is it really that much? Everyone was shocked. The amount of demon spirit blood that Lu Ming took out was no less than that of Dandan and Ling Yue. Furthermore, the quality of the ones they were with was definitely not low. Lu Ming most likely had more than 60,000 merit points. Damn it, how did the 3 of them obtain so much demon spirit blood? Furthermore, their strength is not to this extent. You have to know that the merit points obtained by blood-clothed Kang Ming are not even half of any of them. Could it be that they obtained the demon spirit blood on the divine dawn peak? Amidst the discussion, there was a voice that caused everyone's hearts to tremble. The eyes of those who had participated in the Battle of the Divine Dawn Peak shone with a resplendent light. It must be so. They concluded that Lu Ming and the other two must have obtained the demon spirit blood on the Divine Dawn Peak. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming and the others obtain so much demon spirit blood in the second-level area of the 8-Snake Mountain Range? Only by snatching the demon spirit blood on the Divine Dawn Peak would it make sense. Although they did not know how Lu Ming and the rest did it, they were certain that it was the case. Damn it, we fought with our lives on the line, but they reaped the benefit. That must be it. We fought with our lives on the line and broke through the demon formation, giving them an opportunity to take advantage of us. The sharp voices of Laffit and a few angel race prodigies rang out. Their voices were filled with jealousy. These words made the faces of the other races turn ugly. In the Battle of the Divine Dawn Peak, the various races had suffered heavy losses. In the end, they did not obtain anything and even fled in a sorry state. But in the end, the fruit was taken by Lu Ming and the others. They could not bear it. Good, very good. Blood-clothed Kang Ming said softly. His gaze was as cold as a knife as he constantly scanned Lu Ming and the others. In the Battle of the Divine Dawn Peak, blood-clothed Kang Ming had paid a heavy price and almost died there. However, the fruit was taken by Lu Ming and the others. In his heart, he had already placed Lu Ming and the others on his must-kill list. Silence. The sky official coldly barked, and the scene suddenly fell silent. I don't care what conflicts you have. You can resolve them however you want outside, but in the Heavenly Palace, you must abide by the rules of the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace has a heavenly law, and heavenly soldiers are not allowed to fight and kill each other. Do you understand? The sky official rebuked. Understood. Everyone could only reply. You, continue. The sky official looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the evil demon spirit blood in the jade bottle flew into the well of merit. The well of merit immediately shone with a dazzling light. Then, a row of numbers appeared. 123,567. Hiss hiss hiss. When everyone saw this number, they sucked in a breath of cold air and were stunned on the spot. More than 120,000 merit points. How was this possible? The amount of evil demon spirit blood Lu Ming had was clearly about the same as Dandan and Ling Yue, but how could his merit points be so shocking? Damn it, blood-rained Sungming, Laffit, and the others roared in their hearts. Their eyes glowed red with jealousy. More than 100,000 merit points. How many treasures could they exchange for? Not to mention them, even Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Dandan were somewhat stunned. They had divided the evil demon spirit blood equally, but how could Lu Ming have so much more? Could it be the evil demon prince's evil demon spirit blood? That's right, it must be. That's the only explanation. The greater one's potential, the more merit points they would receive. The evil demon prince's talent was shocking, so his potential was definitely shocking as well. Lu Ming and the others had guessed that the evil demon prince's evil demon spirit blood would definitely be able to exchange for a lot of merit points. But they didn't expect it to be so much. It was almost 60,000 merit points. One person was worth 60,000 merit points, which was almost the sum of Lu Ming's other evil demon spirit blood. Chapter 4026. No matter what, Lu Ming was very satisfied with the hundreds of thousands of merit points he had just obtained. After all, one could become a second-class celestial soldier with more than 100,000 merit points. In other words, if Lu Ming became a celestial soldier, he could become a second-class celestial soldier and enjoy more power and better treatment. Good, not bad. The celestial official nodded repeatedly. He had a whole new level of respect for Lu Ming. Lu Ming only had the strength of the second godly emperor layer, and not only had he passed the test, but he had also obtained more than 100,000 merit points. Although it wasn't unprecedented, it wasn't far from it. The row of numbers in the well of merit flew into the identity jade card. Then, the identity jade card flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the jade tablet and scanned it with his spiritual awareness. Some information appeared in his mind. It was basic information about him, including his name, origin, and cultivation level. There was also a line of words, merit points. 1235671235671 represented the total number of merit points, and the other represented the number of merit points that could be used. After Lu Ming finished the test, there were still a few people left in the second-class area, but none of them had as many merit points as Lu Ming and the others. After the second-class area, it was the third-class area's turn. Everyone's attention was focused on the people in the third-class area. Lu Ming was also sizing up these people. Those who could go to the third-class area were definitely very strong. They were either monstrous heavens favorites with extremely high combat abilities or very old cultivators with extremely high cultivation levels. The older ones' chi was as deep and unfathomable as the sea. Lu Ming guessed that they were all great god emperors. The young geniuses were all full of vigor. Even though they weren't great god emperors, they were definitely above the 7th godly emperor layer. There were many candidates for the universe young geniuses list. Lu Ming took note of them carefully. As expected, the people in the third-class area all benefited greatly. The first one to go up had more than 30,000 merit points, which was even more than blood-clothed Kang Ming. And this was the least. The following people who took part in the test received more merit points than the previous one. In fact, half of them had more than 100,000 merit points. Many of them had more merit points than Lu Ming. Everybody was jealous, but they also knew that the third-level area was too dangerous. Not only were there great supreme gods, but there were also many demons of the 7th godly emperor layer. If they weren't strong enough, they would be surrounded and killed. Of course, with sufficient strength, the speed at which one could obtain merit points from killing fiends would also increase greatly. After a period of time, everyone was done with their tests. Those who didn't pass the test, leave immediately, the heavenly official announced, and heavenly soldiers stepped out to take away those who had failed the test. Congratulations to all of you who have passed the test. You are now officially a heavenly soldier. Now, follow me and I will present you with your heavenly soldier armor. Sky Official Road. Following the Sky Official, the group arrived at another hall. There were many heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals guarding this hall. The Sky Official went up to talk to them, and a few heavenly soldiers entered the hall. After a short time, those heavenly soldiers came out, followed by a few other middle-aged men wearing Sky Official robes. The armor has been presented. Let's start with the third-class heavenly soldiers. Laffit, one of the heavenly officials, began to call out names. Laffit immediately stepped forward. The Sky Official's hand shone brightly, and a silver armor appeared. Laffit's eyes lit up. Many people looked excited too. Although this armor was only the standard armor of a third-class heavenly soldier, it was created by the weapon refining master of the heavenly palace. Its power was no small matter. For example, a third-class heavenly soldier's armor could block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer. In a critical moment, it could save one's life. Especially for the weaker third-class heavenly soldiers, it was a peerless treasure that could save one's life. And it was only for third-class heavenly soldiers. It was said that the armor for second-class heavenly soldiers was even more mysterious. It could even block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the first great supreme god layer. A great supreme god's attack was earth-shattering. It could pierce through the starry sky. For a second-class heavenly soldier's armor to block a great supreme god's attack, it was extremely valuable. The value of this armor was immeasurable when taken out. Of course, no one dared sell the heavenly palace's armor. No one dared to buy it. If someone who wasn't from the heavenly palace used the heavenly palace's armor or weapons, they would be killed without mercy if they were discovered by the heavenly palace. Lu Ming was also looking forward to it. He was a second-class heavenly soldier, and his armor could block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the first great supreme god layer. It meant that godly emperors wouldn't be able to break it. It was said that the armor for first-class heavenly soldiers was even more mysterious. Laffit took the armor. Then, it was the others' turn. Ling Yue and Dandan were both third-class heavenly soldiers. They received the armor for third-class heavenly soldiers. Then, it was the turn of the second-class heavenly soldiers. Lu Ming received his armor. The armor for second-class heavenly soldiers was also silver-white. It was just that there were a few more golden patterns inlaid in it. Soon, everyone received their standard armor. "You've all received your armor. Put it on now," said the heavenly official who led the way. Everyone nodded and began to inject divine power into the armor. Lu Ming also injected forbidden power into the armor. This armor was ownerless, so it was easy to refine. After a few minutes, Lu Ming refined it. The armor flew into Lu Ming's body. Then, a layer of armor appeared on the surface of Lu Ming's body. The armor wriggled like mercury, covering Lu Ming's entire body tightly, only revealing his face. This kind of armor could change its size according to its owner's will, so it fit everyone very well. At this moment, Lu Ming's countenance changed slightly. This was because he sensed a strange force appearing in the armor. It rushed into his body and then spread to his limbs and bones, as well as all his cells. "What's going on? Why is there a strange energy in my armor?" Someone cried out in alarm. It seemed that it wasn't just Lu Ming who was like this. Everyone was like this. "Don't worry," the heavenly official smiled. "This is a forbidden power. It's harmless. As long as you abide by the heavenly laws and work for the heavenly palace, don't say what you shouldn't say, and don't do what you shouldn't do. When you accumulate enough merits and leave the heavenly soldiers, you will naturally be undone." Everyone's heart sank. It seemed that this was the heavenly palace's method of controlling the heavenly soldiers. This power seeped into their cells. If they dared to violate the heavenly laws or betray the heavenly palace, that power would probably take their lives in an instant. In particular, some of the older existences had ugly expressions. Chapter 40-27. Some of the older ones looked even worse. This was because the older they were, the more limited their potential was. It would be difficult for them to withdraw from the heavenly army in the future. In that case, they would have to listen to the heavenly palace for the rest of their lives. Also, don't waste your efforts to refine this power. Your power can't be refined, even if it's the power of the top 10 races. The sky official continued to speak as his gaze swept across the top 10 races. Some of the top geniuses' expressions changed. Among these people, some were peerless heroes, candidates for the universe prodigy role. Some had even mastered special powers, such as the battle god Yuan Wen, who had mastered the battle saint power. Just now, they had indeed secretly tried to refine that power, but unfortunately, they had failed. Now that the sky official had pointed it out, their expressions turned ugly. Lu Ming's heart sank. He didn't expect the heavenly palace to have such a method. "Kid, don't worry. Others can't do anything to this restrictive power, but it's no problem for you. Your forbidden power is contained in every cell. This power has nowhere to hide in front of the forbidden power. If you want to refine it, it'll be easy." Ji Yumo's voice sounded. Indeed. Lu Ming nodded silently. This strange power had seeped into his cells, but what was the use of it? Each of his cells contained the forbidden power, and he could easily refine this power. No wonder Fei Huang dared to ask him to enter the heavenly palace. She had probably expected all of this. However, it's best that you don't refine this power now. It's easy to be discovered. When you want to leave the heavenly palace in the future, it won't be too late to refine this power, Ji Yumo said. Lu Ming nodded in his heart, feeling relieved. If others became heavenly soldiers, they would probably be tied to the heavenly palace's war chariot, but he wouldn't. He could come and go freely. However, Dandan and Ling Yue are both controlled by this power. I can refine it myself, but I can't help them. If anything happens in the future, I can't implicate them. Lu Ming pondered. After a while, everyone accepted this fact. In any case, they were already mentally prepared to join the heavenly palace and become heavenly soldiers. They knew that they would have to obey the orders of the heavenly palace. Also, as long as he accumulated enough merit points in the future and left the heavenly palace would remove this power. He would not be controlled by this power for the rest of his life. Otherwise, the elders of the major clans would not have allowed them to come to the heavenly palace to become celestial soldiers. It was clear that many of the older generation had become heavenly soldiers when they were young and were now free. These young geniuses entered the heavenly palace to become heavenly soldiers for the purpose of gaining experience. They wanted to use the environment of the heavenly palace to cultivate. When they had enough experience and accumulated enough merits to leave the heavenly palace, the restriction would be lifted. This did not conflict with their purpose. However, when they were heavenly soldiers, they had to obey the orders of the heavenly palace. All right, the basic process has been completed. Now, I will bring you to a place. I believe you will like that place very much, the heavenly official said with a smile. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived outside the ancient pagoda. The ancient pagoda was not very tall. It only had 7 floors and looked very ancient, full of the traces of time. This ancient pagoda is called the Fortune Pagoda. It is one of the most important cultivation grounds in the city of Dream Sky. Inside, you can comprehend the origin divine power factor and origin secret techniques. You can also improve your cultivation and cultivate other secret techniques. The speed of cultivation is many times faster than if you were to cultivate by yourself. There are also other fortunes inside. This is your reward for becoming a heavenly soldier, the heavenly official said. The Fortune Pagoda. Many people's eyes lit up. They had heard that the heavenly palace would bestow an opportunity upon becoming a heavenly soldier. Everyone would gain something. Some would awaken their origin divine power factor, some would have a breakthrough in their origin secret techniques, some would have a breakthrough in their cultivation, and some would have a breakthrough in their constitution secret techniques. They were probably talking about the Fortune Pagoda. Since you have just become a heavenly soldier, you can enter the Fortune Pagoda and cultivate for 3 years for free. Third-class heavenly soldiers can only enter from the 1st floor. Second-class heavenly soldiers can enter from the 2nd floor. First-class heavenly soldiers can enter from the 3rd floor. Without a doubt, the higher the floor, the better the effect and the greater the opportunity. Once the 3 years are up, you will have to spend merit points to cultivate. The heavenly official explained. 3 years. Do we have to go in now, or can we wait for a while before going in? Someone asked. There's no need to go in now. You have just become a heavenly soldier and have 10 years to adapt. In these 10 years, you won't have any missions. You just have to cultivate in peace. You can go in whenever you want, the heavenly official said. Everyone nodded. Naturally, no one went in. All right, the Fortune Pagoda has been introduced. Next, I will bring you to an important place, the heavenly official said. After a while, they arrived in front of a large hall. Above the large hall were 3 large words, Merit Exchange Hall. This is the Merit Exchange Hall. Here, you can use your merit points to exchange for countless treasures. You can even use your merit points to issue missions here. Or, you can use your merit points to ask mighty figures like the Lord of Heaven to guide you in your cultivation, the heavenly official said. Can we really ask the Lord of Heaven to guide us in our cultivation? A very old elder asked, his eyes filled with excitement. The prodigies of the top clans were fine. They already had figures like the Lord of Heaven in their clans. Some of the smaller clans did not have figures like the Lord of Heaven in their clans. They were also looking forward to meeting such a legendary figure. If they could receive pointers from someone like the Lord of Heaven, their cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. This was especially true for the older ones. They had joined the heavenly palace and became heavenly soldiers because they had been stuck at a bottleneck for too many years and wanted to break through. If they could receive pointers from someone like the Lord of Heaven, would breaking through still be a dream? Of course you can. As long as you have enough merit points, the heavenly official said with a chuckle. Then, how many merit points does it cost to ask the Lord of Heaven for pointers? The same old man asked again. At least 10 million merit points. The heavenly official said. 10 million merit points. Everyone looked at each other. How many merit points did they earn in this assessment after risking their lives? The most they earned was in the tens of thousands, and the most they earned was in the hundreds of thousands. It was still a long way from 10 million. They did not know how long it would take to accumulate 10 million merit points. Many people sighed dejectedly. So, you have to complete the Heavenly Palace's missions well in the future and earn merit points. The more merit points, the better. Alright, I've introduced the important places. Now, follow me to the Heavenly River, the heavenly official said. Chapter 4028. There was a heavenly river around Dreamsky City. This was the barracks of the heavenly soldiers. Usually, the heavenly soldiers who didn't have any missions were stationed here. The heavenly river was vast, and there were huge buildings floating above it. A large number of heavenly soldiers went in and out. Lu Ming and the others would live here in the future. The sky official led them and assigned them a place to live. In the barracks, many heavenly soldiers glanced at them curiously. These heavenly soldiers were accumulated by the heavenly palace over countless years. There were a lot of them. Every once in a while, the heavenly palace would recruit a batch of heavenly soldiers from the entire desolate universe. At the same time, if they met a suitable person, they would be recruited into the heavenly soldiers after many rounds of screening. Therefore, there were still a lot of heavenly soldiers. After arranging their accommodations, the sky official left. The divine energy here is really rich. In a spacious room, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. He felt the divine energy in the air and sighed in his heart. The density of the divine energy here was even comparable to the recovering dragon race's mother planet. Not to mention anything else, just such a cultivation environment was enough to make one's heart skip a beat. Lu Ming hadn't cultivated for a while when Dandan and Ling Yuwei came together. Mu Yun, do you want to go to the fortune tower to cultivate? Ling Yuwei looked at Lu Ming impatiently. I plan to go to the merit exchange hall to take a look, Lu Ming said. In the fortune tower, one could comprehend the origin divine power factor, origin secret techniques, or physique secret techniques. However, Lu Ming had a forbidden body, so he couldn't cultivate any of these. If he entered the fortune tower and didn't find anything suitable, wouldn't it be a waste of time? Lu Ming planned to exchange for some secret techniques before entering the fortune tower to cultivate. That's true. We have so many merit points. Let's go to the merit exchange hall to spend them first, Dandan said. After agreeing, the three of them headed towards the merit exchange hall. The merit exchange hall was naturally guarded by experts from the heavenly palace. However, they were already official heavenly soldiers and had their identity tokens. Naturally, they could enter the merit exchange hall unimpeded. The moment they entered the merit exchange hall, the three people were stunned by the scene inside. The interior of the hall was extremely spacious. It was not an ordinary hall, but an empty space. Balls of light were dancing in the void. From afar, it looked like they were in a starry sky. They saw some celestial soldiers flying in the void. Some celestial soldiers came in front of a ball of light and reached out to touch it. The celestial soldier's body disappeared. The three of them were rather surprised. Then, they flew towards the nearest ball of light. Only when he got closer did he realize that there were a few words on the ball of light, protective divine weapon. Then, they looked at another ball of light. There were also a few words on this ball of light, healing divine pill. It seems that these different light balls represent different types of items. Whatever you exchange for, you'll enter that light ball. There should be another world inside this ball of light, Ling Yuwei analyzed. Lu Ming and Dandan also nodded. Then, the few of them spread out and began to look for the categories they needed. Lu Ming looked through them one by one. What he needed were all kinds of secret techniques. As for the rest, he didn't need them for the time being. For example, he didn't need divine weapons or divine pills for the time being. He wanted to exchange for some ordinary secret techniques or the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Lu Ming looked through them one by one. Demonic Path Secret Technique. Speed Secret Technique. Lu Ming discovered a few balls of light in succession, all of which recorded some secret techniques. Don't you have the 3,000 ancient secret techniques? Lu Ming looked through them one by one. A moment later. 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Suddenly, a ball of light entered Lu Ming's eyes. There really are 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming stretched out his hand. When his fingers touched the ball of light, his body quickly shrank. In the next moment, he rushed into the ball of light and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming's figure appeared in a great hall. There were many jade tablets floating in the air in this great hall. Upon closer inspection, there were more than 1,000 jade talismans. Each jade talisman had some information on it. Great ripping technique. Great destruction technique. Great creation technique. All kinds of ancient secret techniques entered Lu Ming's eyes. They were all ancient secret techniques. Each jade talisman was an ancient secret technique. Lu Ming felt his heart thumping. There were so many ancient secret techniques. There were more than 1,000 of them. Even after racking his brains, he only managed to find 3 ancient secret techniques. But here, there were over 1,000 ancient secret techniques. As expected of the Heavenly Palace. It was so rich that it surpassed any force in the universe. Let's see how many merit points it costs. Lu Ming looked carefully. Great ripping technique, 100,000 merit points for exchange. Great destruction technique, 300,000 merit point. Great creation technique, 1 million merit point. Lu Ming's face turned green as he looked at the end. The great ripping technique only required 100,000 merit points. However, the great creation technique actually required 1 million merit points. This was a little scary. One should know that this was just an exchange. Whether he could successfully cultivate it was another matter. Great creation technique, top 100 among the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Lu Ming saw another line of introduction. It seems like there are differences between the 3,000 ancient secret skills as well. Lu Ming thought. Lu Ming looked at them one by one. Lu Ming actually saw the Great God Wind technique, Great Devil Sword technique, and Great Ripping technique. The Great Ripping technique and Great Ripping technique cost the same, 100,000 merit points. The Great Devil Sword technique was slightly more expensive, 120,000. The Great God Wind technique required 200,000 merit points. Lu Ming knew that the Great God Wind technique was indeed more mysterious. Not only did it have attacking power, but it could also increase speed. It was normal for it to be more expensive. The Great God Wind technique only costs 200,000 merit points. The Great Creation technique actually costs 1 million merit points. The difference is huge. Lu Ming sighed. He discovered that the merit points he had could only be used to exchange for the lowest grade of ancient secret technique. Which one should I exchange for? Lu Ming frowned. It was really hard to choose. Lu Ming temporarily did not consider the Great Ripping technique, Great Destruction technique, and other offensive secret techniques. Because they overlapped with what he had grasped, even if he cultivated them, it would not increase his battle strength by much. I really want to choose the Great Teleportation technique. Lu Ming stared at a piece of jade talisman. This piece of jade talisman was the Great Teleportation technique. Once successfully cultivated, one's body would be able to move freely in the starry sky. It was many times faster and more mysterious than activating the teleportation array on one's body. In fact, when cultivated to the peak, one could even shift the attacks of others. One could even shift the stars in the starry sky to attack the enemy. In short, it had endless uses. It was much more mysterious than the Great God Wind technique. However, the exchange price was ridiculously high. It also required 1 million merit points, the same as the Great Creation technique. Chapter 4029. The Greater Teleportation technique required a full 1 million merit points. Lu Ming could only stare helplessly at this number. Only now did Lu Ming truly understand the importance of merit points. Previously, no matter how the Sky official talked about how important merit points were and how many treasures could be exchanged for, he had only heard about it. He had never personally experienced it. Now, when the real treasures were placed in front of him but he couldn't possess them, he truly understood the importance of merit points. Merit points, I want merit points. Lu Ming roared in his heart, his eyes turning red as he looked at the 3,000 ancient secret arts. In the end, after much deliberation, Lu Ming chose an ancient secret skill called the Great Binding Skill. The Great Binding technique, as its name implied, could bind an enemy and make them like fish on a chopping board, at the mercy of others. Although it didn't have much offensive power, its supportive power was extremely strong. If used well, it could be a powerful killing move. The Great Binding technique required 120,000 merit points. Lu Ming took out his identity token and said to the void, "I want to exchange for the Great Binding technique." Whoosh! The identity token in his hand flew out toward the Great Binding technique Jade Talisman. The two collided, and then the identity token and the Great Binding technique Jade Talisman both flew back to Lu Ming. Lu Ming caught them in his hand. He hurriedly scanned the identity token and saw that his merit points had changed to this: 1 2 3 5 6 7 35 67. The front was the total number of merit points he had accumulated, and the back was the remaining amount. In an instant, there was only a fraction left. Lu Ming's heart ached, and then he hurriedly looked at the Great Binding technique Jade Talisman. "I'll give you 3 hours to memorize the Great Binding technique." At this time, an aged voice suddenly sounded in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's heart trembled. He understood that this was the expert guarding the merit points exchange hall. Such an expert's realm was simply unfathomable. Lu Ming hurriedly began to memorize. However, with Lu Ming's current memory, it didn't take him more than 3 hours to memorize a big binding skill. In just a short while, Lu Ming had already memorized the big binding skill. Lu Ming looked through it once more to make sure that it was accurate, and only then did he say, "Elder, I have already memorized it." Whoosh! The Great Binding spell Jade Talisman flew out again and floated in the air. Quit! Lu Ming's mind stirred. The next moment, his body retreated from this space and reappeared outside the ball of light. "I still have more than 3,000 merit points left. What should I choose? Let's check out the other secret techniques." With a thought, Lu Ming chose a light ball with the words "defensive secret technique" written on it and entered it. Within the ball of light, there was a huge stone room. Within the stone room, there were huge shelves and jade talismans placed on the shelves. At the bottom of the jade talisman, there was a symbol which indicated what kind of secret technique it was and what its effects were. Without a doubt, those were all ordinary defensive secret techniques. Lu Ming scanned them with his spiritual awareness and was astonished because there were so many of them. There were more than 100,000 of them. In other words, there were more than 100,000 kinds of secret techniques. And that was only the defensive secret techniques. There were no other kinds of secret techniques. Lu Ming was astonished. The Heavenly Palace had ruled the ancient desolate universe for a very long time. They had a very rich collection of secret techniques. Until now, Lu Ming had only accumulated 1,300 types of ordinary secret skills. 100 merit points for a secret technique. Then, Lu Ming realized that the price of those secret techniques was the same, 100 merit points for a secret technique. Speaking of which, 100 merit points for an ordinary secret technique was shockingly expensive. One had to know that in the Dark Universe, killing an ordinary demon of the first godly emperor layer would only give 1 merit point. You had to kill 100 ordinary demons of the first godly emperor layer to exchange for an ordinary secret technique. To be honest, it was cheaper to buy them outside. However, it was impossible to buy so many secret techniques outside. I have more than 3,000 merit points left. I can only exchange for 30 ordinary secret techniques. It's not very useful. Let's look at the others first. Lu Ming exited the light ball and continued to look. Lu Ming was dazzled by the classification. There were all kinds of divine medicines, divine pills, all kinds of strange materials, broken weapons classification. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a classification. His eyes twinkled and he couldn't help but be interested. If Chocho wanted to grow and evolve, it needed a lot of metals, all kinds of metals, and all kinds of weapons. However, a complete divine weapon would be extremely expensive, while a broken one would be extremely cheap. He hadn't thought that the merit exchange hall would be able to exchange for broken weapons. Lu Ming entered the light ball and then it seemed like he had entered another starry sky. It was a void. In the void, there were countless weapons. To be more precise, they were broken weapons. At a glance, he didn't know how many types and weapons there were. These weapons were all broken. For example, there was a golden divine sword that only had half of it left. There was a black spear with a divine dragon on it that only had half of it left. All the weapons were broken and didn't have the slightest spirituality. Their spirituality had been completely depleted, which was why they were placed here. If they still had spirituality, perhaps the blacksmiths in the heavenly palace would be able to repair them. There was a line of words on these broken weapons, indicating the exchange price. These broken divine weapons are cheap, Lu Ming looked. The lowest price of these broken weapons was 1 merit point, and the higher ones were a few merit points. Lu Ming could exchange for a bunch of them. However, Lu Ming didn't intend to exchange for ordinary broken weapons. If he wanted to exchange, he would exchange for those high-level broken weapons. Cho Cho had a special ability. After absorbing and refining a certain kind of divine weapon, he would have a part of that divine weapon's functions. If he could exchange it for a top-grade divine weapon, such as a broken divine weapon like the mysterious ice rod, how much would he gain? Cho Cho, search according to your feelings, Lu Ming said to Cho Cho. Okay. Cho Cho immediately flew out, its eyes looking around. There was nothing to hide. The metallic lifeform was also alive. If it was in his hands, the experts here would have already discovered it. Cho Cho flew forward. Ordinary broken divine weapons were ignored by him. Suddenly, Cho Cho's eyes lit up as it stared at a broken saber. Its mouth was wide open as it shouted, "I want this one, I want this one." Seeing how agitated Cho Cho was, Lu Ming knew that this broken saber must be extraordinary. He quickly flew over and revealed a bitter smile after taking a look. This broken divine weapon actually required a total of 50,000 merit points to exchange for. Cho Cho, look at the others. Lu Ming smiled awkwardly. Cho Cho could only look at the others. Cho Cho took a fancy to several broken weapons, but Lu Ming couldn't afford them. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.